Friends, today we are going to talk about such an empire which was one of the most powerful empires in world history. It ruled over a large area of the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and North Africa for more than 600 years. This Islamic superpower is known as the Ottoman Empire. Today we will learn how the Ottoman Empire originated, how this empire rose. We will also talk about some of its characteristic features, and along with that, we will briefly understand how this mighty empire finally declined. So friends, first of all, let's talk about the conditions that made it possible, that is, its background setting the stage. Friends, around 1380 on one side the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire was declining. The majority of people here followed Christianity. On the other side, the Mongol had destroyed the Turkish Seljuk kingdom of Rum. Rum means the region of Asia Minor or Anatolia, which we know today as Turkey. After the decline of the Seljuks, the Anatolia region was divided into many small Turkish principalities. They were loyal to their own groups but were not united under any central power. Among these, a strong leader emerges who unites the Turks and establishes a new Turkish empire, an Islamic empire whose expansion later reaches 3 continents. So let's know who was this strong leader who laid the foundation of the Ottoman Empire. Origins of the Ottoman Empire. Friends, most of the Turks in Anatolia considered themselves Ghazis, meaning warriors of Islam. These people formed military societies under the leadership of emirs, commanders, and followed a strict Islamic code of conduct. By the late 13th century, the Turks had started raiding the frontier territories of the Byzantine Empire. Among them, the most successful Ghazi was Osman. Western people called him Osman and his followers began to be called Ottomans. On the strength of his successes between 1300 and 1326, Osman established a small Muslim state in Anatolia, which later became the mighty Ottoman Empire. He expanded this state by capturing lands, forming alliances with other emirs, and conquering some areas. A major credit for the military success of the Ottomans goes to the use of gunpowder. They had replaced the horse-mounted archers in their army with foot soldiers armed with muskets. Apart from this, the Ottomans were also among the early users of cannons in attacks. Even heavily fortified world cities became weak in front of their attacks. Osman's son and successor, Orhan, was the second Ottoman leader. He declared himself Sultan. In 1361, the Ottomans captured the second most important city of the Byzantine Empire, Adrianople, modern-day Edirne in Turkey. And in this way, a new Turkish empire began to rise. Rise of the Ottoman Empire. Friends, under the leadership of capable leaders like Osman, Orhan, and then Murad I, the Ottoman Empire rose rapidly. After Murad I, Bayezid I became Sultan. During his reign, an event happened that interrupted the empire's expansion for some time. Timur the Lame halted the expansion. Friends, in 1400, a rebellious warrior from Samarkand in Central Asia, the conqueror Timur the Lame, also called Tamerlane, stopped the Ottoman expansion. This warrior was permanently injured by an arrow in his leg, which is why he was called Timur the Lame. Europeans called him the same Timur who invaded India in 1398 during the rule of the Tughlaq dynasty. Timur had completely destroyed the powerful city of Baghdad located in present-day Iraq. Then, in 1402, in the Battle of Ankara, he badly defeated the Ottoman forces. This defeat created an obstacle in the empire's expansion for some time. But soon Timur turned his attention towards China, and the Ottoman sultans again started rebuilding their power. After this, in 1453, the biggest event in Ottoman history took place. Mehmed II conquers Constantinople. In 1451, when Mehmed II came to power, the population of Constantinople, the capital of the declining Byzantine Empire, had shrunk from 1 million to just 50,000. This shows that the power of Constantinople was declining. They had no control left over any territory outside their walls. The Bosporus Strait connects the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara and also joins Asian Turkey with European Turkey. Controlling this waterway meant the Ottomans could choke the traffic between their Asian and Balkan territories anytime. Mehmed II wanted to end this threat forever. At the age of 21, shortly after coming to power, he made up his mind to conquer Constantinople, and in 1453 he launched his attack. Mehmed's Turkish forces, along with powerful cannons, started firing at the city walls. One of these cannons was 26 feet long, which fired 1,200-pound cannonballs. A chain had been placed across the Golden Horn between the Bosporus and the Sea of Marmara to keep the Turkish fleet away from the city harbor. Then one night, Mehmed used a daring tactic. He greased the ships with oil and dragged his 70 ships over a hill to reach the Golden Horn. Now Mehmed's forces were attacking Constantinople from two sides. The city defended itself for 7 weeks, but finally the Turks broke through the walls and entered the city. In this way, the rule of an empire that had lasted thousands of years finally ended. It opened the way for a great warrior. Mehmed II also declared the captured Constantinople as the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. The city of Istanbul soon became a dominant international center of trade and culture. But the impact of capturing Constantinople was not limited to this. It also had large-scale effects. Let's understand the impacts of the fall of Constantinople. Impacts of the fall of Constantinople. Friends, the fall of Constantinople, the end of the Eastern Roman Empire, gave birth to a domino effect. It created a kind of power vacuum in Europe, because the Roman Empire used to be a strong power of its time and also had a strong hold on Christianity. Now the Ottoman Empire became the biggest Islamic empire in its place, and its sultan was considered the spiritual leader of the entire Islamic world. But the biggest impact was related to trade. Because the land routes going to the east were earlier part of the Byzantine Empire, and for years Europeans had trade contact with the east through them. Now they had come under Ottoman control. Therefore, European powers started searching for alternative trade routes. And then many famous European voyages happened, including Columbus's voyage to America and Vasco da Gama's voyage to India. And from here, the establishment of colonies by European countries in Asia and America also began. Apart from this, after the fall of Constantinople, Greek scholars migrated to Italy and took with them thousands of classical Greek and Latin texts. The rediscovery of these classical texts led to the beginning of the Renaissance in Europe. In this way, the ripple effects of the fall of Constantinople were seen all over the world, in a way. It can also be called a turning point in world history. After conquering Constantinople, the Ottomans started expanding in West Asia and African territories. But friends, the Ottoman Empire had still not reached its peak size and grandeur. For that, we have to go to the reign of Sultan Sulayman I. Sulayman the Magnificent, 1520–1566. Sulayman became sultan in 1520 and ruled for 46 years. His subjects called him Sulayman the Lawgiver, but in the West he was called Sulayman the Magnificent. This title was given to him for the grandeur of his court and his cultural achievements. He captured the important European city of Belgrade. The next year, Turkish forces captured Rhodes Island, now part of Greece, in the Mediterranean and established dominance over the entire western Mediterranean. On the strength of their strong naval power, the Ottomans also captured Tripoli, located on the coast of North Africa, today the capital of Libya. They continued conquering people on the North African coastline. Although the Ottomans only occupied the coastal cities of North Africa, they did gain control over the trade routes going into the interior of the continent. In 1526, Sulayman created panic in Central Europe by advancing towards Hungary and Austria. His armies reached outside Vienna, the capital of Austria. They could not capture Vienna, but they established control over Hungary. In this way, ruling from Istanbul, Sulayman fought with Central Europeans, North Africans, and Central Asians. He was called the most powerful monarch of his time. His reign is also called the Golden Period of Ottoman history. Friends, when the Ottoman Empire was at its height, it included a large region consisting of Turkey, Greece, Bulgaria, Egypt, Hungary, Macedonia, Romania, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, parts of Arabia, and the coastal strip of North Africa. But the Ottomans never invaded India. Why? Let's understand. Friends, to invade India, the Ottomans first needed to capture the Safavid Empire of Persia because the land route to India passed through there. But the Safavid Empire was itself a strong empire, and the Ottomans had fought many battles with them. Still, they failed to establish control over the Safavid Empire. Therefore, the Ottomans never got the opportunity to invade India through the land route. Apart from this, sea invasion was also very difficult. However, contacts between the Ottomans and India can definitely be seen. For example, Bahmani subjects were also employed in India. They were called Rumi and were famous for their mastery in artillery. Apart from this, the Ottomans also tried to establish their influence on the west coast of India because they wanted to control the trade through the Indian Ocean. For this, they formed alliances with local Islamic kingdoms located on the West Indian coast and also fought against the Portuguese. This included attempts to ally with Bahadur Shah, the ruler of Gujarat. At that time, the Portuguese had established control over the Indian Ocean with their naval power. But unfortunately, in the battles between the two, such as the Battle of Diu in 1538, the Portuguese succeeded in defeating the Ottomans. But despite this, the Ottoman Empire was one of the largest empires in the world. How did the Ottoman sultans manage such a large empire? Let's understand this in the next section. Highly structured social organization. Friends, the Ottomans dealt wisely with the people they conquered. They ruled the conquered territories with the help of local officials appointed by the Sultan and often worked to improve the lives of the people. During the time of Sultan Sulayman, the government structure and social organization were very strong. Sulayman's greatest achievement can be said to be that he created a law code to handle criminal and civil cases. He also simplified and limited taxes. Apart from this, he reduced and systematized the government bureaucracy. Because of these changes, the lives of citizens improved and Sulayman earned the title of lawgiver. The Sultan had about 20,000 personal slaves who worked like staff in the palace bureaucracy. These slaves were acquired under a policy called devshirme. Under the devshirme system, the Sultan's army drafted young boys from the population of conquered Christian territories. The army provided them education, converted them to Islam, and trained them as soldiers. Out of these, an elite force of 30,000 soldiers was trained to be loyal only to the Sultan. This force was known as the Janissaries. Due to their excellent discipline, they became the hand of the empire. Many times, Christian families even bribed officials to get their children taken into the Sultan's service because the brightest among them could reach government posts or military positions. Being Muslim, the Ottoman sultans followed Islamic law. According to this, they granted freedom of worship to other religious communities, particularly Christians and Jews. They treated these communities like millets, nations. All millets were allowed to follow their religious laws and practices. The heads of the millets reported to the Sultan and his staff. This system helped the Ottomans keep conflicts between people of various religions to a minimum. Decline of the Ottoman Empire. Friends, from 1600 onwards, the Ottoman Empire started losing its economic and military dominance over Europe. At this time, Europe was progressing rapidly due to the Renaissance and then the Industrial Revolution. On the other hand, due to poor leadership, the Ottoman Empire started losing its glory. Sulayman had killed his most capable son and sent the other to exile. Therefore, his third son, Selim II, inherited the throne, but he was an incompetent ruler. Along with this, it also became a custom that the new sultan would get all his brothers killed so that there was no rival left. Apart from this, the sultans started keeping their sons locked in the harem, due to which their education and contact with the outside world completely ended. This practice became the reason for a long line of weak sultans, which eventually led to the destruction of the empire. Apart from this, trade competition with America and India also weakened the Ottoman Empire. Then in 1683, the Ottomans were defeated in the Battle of Vienna. This defeat further deepened their already declining status. In the next 100 years, the empire kept losing its territories in various battles and treaties. In 1830, Greece became independent from the Ottoman Empire through a revolt. In 1878, during the Congress of Berlin, Romania, Serbia, and Bulgaria also became independent. After this, in the Balkan Wars of 1912 and 1913, The Ottoman Empire lost almost all its territories in Europe. Now only the formal end of the Ottoman Empire was left. Its glory had already completely ended. When did the Ottoman Empire fall? Friends, at the time of the start of World War I, the empire was already in decline. In such a situation, the Ottoman army entered the war in 1914 on the side of the Central Powers Germany and Austria-Hungary. It faced defeat. After the Armistice of Mudros, most Ottoman territories were divided between Britain, France, Greece, and Russia. The Ottoman Empire officially